Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I'm Nancy Godi Angunihu and Ruth Ozoma is on sign language. First, the headlines. World awaits outcome of 47th U.S. presidential election that may produce first female president or Donald Trump's comeback. CISLAC commends President Tinubu for release of detained minors as court strikes out charges against alleged nationwide protesters. Federal government announces reduction of minimum university admission age from 18 to 16 years. It's election day in the U.S., with former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris vying to become the 47th president. Chukwunonso Nwabweze in this report examines one of the most keenly contested elections in the country's history.
Election day voting began at about 11 GMT Tuesday morning, following an extraordinary U.S. presidential race that will either make Kamala Harris the first woman president in the country's history or hand Donald Trump a comeback that will send shockwaves across the globe. As the first polling stations opened, Harris 60, Trump 78 were in the tightest and most volatile White House contest of modern times, as evident in the tie recorded at New Hampshire Hamlet.
I think there's a responsibility to hosting this event, okay, and holding this democratic election that it's hard to measure its consequence. If you look at the history of our country, this is how democracy started. This is an example of how it can continue.
However we vote isn't going to sway the election, that's for sure. But if we can encourage people to vote, if they can say, hey, these guys got up at midnight to vote, and 100% of the town got up and went to vote, maybe I can take time out of my day to go vote.
It's just a wonderful tradition, but it's also, I think, democracy in its purest sense.
Both candidates spent their final day of the campaign seriously working to get their supporters out to the polls in a last-minute push to win over any undecided voters in the swing states expected to decide the outcome.
Talk with your friends and your family and your neighbors. Share your perspective on why you took the time to be here this evening and why this election is important to you. Encourage folks to make their voices heard, because we need everyone to vote in Pennsylvania.
Let everyone think it's going to be tight as hell, but whether it is or not doesn't matter. You have to go out and we have to swamp them. Everybody's got to vote.
Harris and Trump are effectively tied in the 7 main swing states of Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, of which a final outcome of the election may not be known for several days if the results are as close as the polls suggest. Tens of millions of voters are expected to cast their ballots, in addition to the more than 82 million people who have already voted early. The world is anxiously watching as the outcome of the election will have huge implications for conflicts in the Middle East, Russia-Ukraine war, as well as on tackling climate change. While the main focus is on who becomes the 47th president of the United States, attentions are also keen on which party takes control of the U.S. Congress. Chukwunonso Nwabweze, NTA News.
And now, Hajia Kurera Musa, an author and social commentator, joins us via Zoom from New Jersey to speak more on the U.S. election. Now, Hajia, how is the voting atmosphere? How is the voting atmosphere there in the U.S.?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, NTA Nigeria. The atmosphere, to be honest, is calm, but we are very, very anxious, as you can understand. We're hoping to produce the first female president, and it is very nerve-wracking, I would say.
First female president for the American people. and actually maybe for the whole world, would you say American elections have evolved as their democracy?
American election had done that a long time ago. We nearly produced a female president in 2016, if you could remember. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Since then, women had been on top of the ticket saying that they need more women in both houses and ultimately in the presidency. And I think you have seen it playing out a lot in this cycle.
If I might take you back to what you said, that the place is calm. This calm, you know, we felt the heated polity during the time as a campaign period. You know, how do you think it's going to play out?
Well, to be honest, we are very concerned because of the way President Donald Trump is acting and talking, and what he had done on January 6th. So that is the only concern that many, but if it comes to the electorates, really the polling stations have been very calm, orderly. I voted on a Sunday with my 19-year-old son. So it's no one is, I think it's very calm. He's trying to make it sound like there might be some fraudulent acts being done, but to be honest, none of that is being reported at the moment. But you know Trump, he can always say anything if he sees that he's going to lose.
How would you say that the campaign strategies evolved in this 2024, especially with new digital tools and social media platforms?
I think it's really, it's been that, but I think our game changer for the Democrats was when President Biden stepped down. You know, talking of social media, you know everything that happened. What little thing you do is posted. Your sneeze is posted. Your steps are posted. So people were saying how Biden really was ailing and not doing well. We were very, very frightened. And that was amplified because of social media. So social media plays a huge role in making it good or bad. And I think it actually, looking at that, Kamala Harris just started about 2.5 months ago, campaigning versus Trump, who's been campaigning for 2 years. Without social media, it wouldn't have been possible. So social media had played a huge role. And even with Trump, some of his drive, having the CEO of Twitter helping him out, it's actually also giving him some edge, a lot of edge.
Okay. What, can you predict to happen in US, anyway, when somebody like Trump wins or Kamala wins? How would it be like with what is happening with NATO?
Well, I think if Kamala Harris wins, there might be a lot of progress in terms of NATO, in terms of a lot of the things that are happening in the world at the moment. With Trump, as you remember, when he was president before he left, while he was in president, he was not really friendly with a lot of these foreign countries. And also to him, he doesn't even need NATO. And that will be, if he come back and he's with the same attitude, I assure you the progress of the world will be another 25 years back.
Yeah, going by the campaign strategies, will you say anything has changed in the US electoral process over time?
Yeah, a lot have. I mean, the fact that social media amplifies everything if you can compare from before to now, it had changed. People are now very vigilant on what is being done. People are not being, to be honest with you, I've been voting in the US for over, I've been in this country for 32 years. I have been voting for, I would say, the last 2 decades. It is just getting better and better. The only time that you're seeing all this talks about fraud and what have you is really Trump making it sound like that. But wherever I was in California, I voted in California, it was great. I voted in New York, I voted in New Jersey. I have never seen in an area where that people are not allowed to vote, or if there were some issues. And having the fact that social media is everywhere, it is making it a lot transparent compared to many other countries. And I think that had helped a lot to shape it. And the fact that also we have a lot of vocal influencers that can speak against things that, for or against things being not done right. So that.
Can we look at the deciding factors and elections in America, like swing states and electoral college? Which swing states are most crucial this year, and what trends are we seeing in those areas that could influence the outcome of this particular election?
I think for the Democrats, we're looking at, I think of actually not just the Democrat, for both parties. Pennsylvania is very, very crucial. It has 19 electoral votes. And it's, in 2016, we lost that for Trump, and that made Trump the president. And it was brought back. It had always been a blue state. But 2016, we lost that, and it was brought back by Biden in 2020. Where now the deciding factor is the economy that Trump is trumping on, that the immigrants are taking away the job, and Pennsylvania is a white-collar state. So that is the fear there. If he is able to convince those people to come to him, then we are in big trouble. Still, there is no clear victory for both parties. The other one is Michigan. Michigan is another deciding factor. If we are able to hold on to Michigan, which is now is kind of a challenge for Kamala because of the Gaza issue, and most of the electorate there are Muslim, and they are holding ground that they didn't see enough support to end the war in Gaza. So those are the two. And then Georgia is another one which we're hoping that we're going to maintain. And I think we will maintain Georgia because of the Black turnout. And Michigan, we're hoping if the women turn out and the student turn out, young people turn out, even if the Muslim turnout is low, we will capture Michigan.
Thank you, Hajia Kurera Musa, for coming on the news. We pray that everybody turns out to make sure that this election is worth everybody's while. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This is news on NTA International. We take a break. Thank you for staying with us. Vice President Kashim Shettima has handed over 119 minors and adults after the presidential directive on the unconditional release of the alleged protesters of August 2024 nationwide protests. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
These are the 119 minors and other alleged August 2024 protesters that were pardoned by President Bola Tinubu on humanitarian grounds.
Regardless, the President has used his position as the father of the nation to give these young men another chance at becoming responsible citizens who will make a positive impact in the drive for a better Nigeria. I would like to admonish you, young men, not to allow yourself to be used in perpetrating violence and destroying public and private property. Over 300 billion naira was lost in the protest, consisting mainly private property through looting and loss of business. I will urge you, I will advise you, you are our children, to use the opportunity of the President's magnanimous gesture in ensuring that you go back home and become responsible citizens who will contribute to the growth of the society.
The released protesters who were earlier arraigned by the Nigerian police force and discharged by the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja. Here at the State House, Vice President Kashim Shettima officially hands them over to the governors of Kaduna and Kano states.
Will continue to be in our minds. The President has shown his compassion. He has shown his humility. And he has shown that you are also his children.
Of course, but what I'm impressed about, they're all in high spirit, all of them. You can see that they have promised me, as their governor, that they will be of good character. And of course, they also agree with me that they will not participate again in anything similar to what happened in the past.
The released defendants are expected to undergo medical checks before they will be handed over to their families. From the State House, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
The Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, has commended President Bola Tinubu for instructing the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, to ensure the immediate release of all minors detained during the #End Bad Governance protests across Nigeria. In a statement, the Executive Director, CISLAC, Awal Musa Rafsanjani, welcomed President Tinubu's decision, praising his willingness to investigate the circumstances leading to the arrests and hold responsible security personnel accountable. Additionally, CISLAC urged President Tinubu to extend this act of directive to other detained protesters, fostering greater national unity, justice, and demonstrating a government open to addressing citizens' grievances. CISLAC also underscored the importance of police reform, particularly in recruitment and service deployment, noting issues of police misconduct, including instances of brutality and corruption. The organization stressed that only through a merit-based and transparent recruitment process can Nigeria build a police force that serves as and protects the public responsibly. Furthermore, CISLAC reaffirms its support for any government efforts aimed at bringing reforms and improving good governance, commending President Tinubu for listening to Nigerians and addressing their demands for justice and accountability. The charges of alleged conspiracy, treasonable felony, and disruption of public peace filed against 150 young persons in the wake of the August nationwide protest have been struck out by the Federal High Court, Abuja. Justice Obiora Egwatu discharged the defendants based on a motion for discontinuance of the trial filed by the Director of Public Prosecution of the Federation, Mohammed Abubakar, on behalf of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN. The Justice Ministry took over the case in line with its powers in Section 174 of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, as amended.
The directive of the President to ensure that the children are safely returned back to their destinations. And before we return them, we want to do also due process of ensuring that they are medically fit. So we take them for safekeeping in the facility and make sure they're medically checked. And where we need to make additional treatment, we take care of them.
Again, we are calling on the government to discontinue all cases pending in different states with respect to the August protest.
Justice Egwatu, receiving no objection from the Defense Counsel, granted the request and dismissed the charges. He ordered the immediate release of the defendants from prison remand. President Tinubu had on Monday directed the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice to terminate the trial by dropping charges against them to facilitate the release of the defendants, most of whom are said to be minors. The federal government has announced the reduction of the minimum university admission age from 18 to 16 years, a move intended to align Nigeria's educational standards with international practices. Minister of Education Dr. Morufu Alausa revealed this during his inaugural media briefing in Abuja. Francis Udojo reports.
Dr. Morufu Olatunji Alausa and the Minister of State Education, Dr. Suwaiba Said Ahmad, said the review is expected to transform entry pathways into tertiary institutions, enabling 16-year-olds who meet the necessary academic requirements to pursue their university ambitions sooner.
From now and going into the future, we will heavily focus on practical training. 80% of the education will be on practical training, and 20% will be on a theoretical classroom based.
With this appointment, observers said the federal government signals a strong commitment to revitalizing the education sector as part of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. Reeling out the agenda, they promised to prioritize science, engineering, medical sciences, and technical education across all educational levels, aiming to develop a skilled workforce equipped for Nigeria's future. Emphasis, they promised, will be on these critical fields to nurture young talents and provide them with the tools for success.
We would ensure that our technical colleges and these entrepreneurial institutions have adequate infrastructures, equipment, workshop. We will invest heavily on those areas. And as we do this, we'll also partner with the private sector to ensure that jobs are available for these young men and women.
Additionally, entrepreneurship programs will receive more support, with universities and more funds to agriculture-focused universities to implement mechanized farming, bolstering efforts towards national food security. Enhance inclusivity in education. Special needs students and children from low-income families will be encouraged to attend school, with plans to introduce conditional cash transfers for mothers and caregivers to ease financial barriers to education. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Toga departs Abuja and arrives Togo for shuttle diplomacy to 4 West African countries, namely Togo, Guinea-Bissau, the Gambia, and Cote d'Ivoire. As part of President Bola Tinubu's mandate as the chairman of ECOWAS heads of state and government to solidify regional integration in the West African sub-region, Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Toga embarked on this mission to engage these countries to deepen relations and sustain regional cooperation. Yusuf Toga is the chairman of ECOWAS Mediation and Security Council at the ministerial level. During this shuttle diplomacy, Yusuf Toga is expected to engage in high-level meetings to discuss issues centered on peace, security, cooperation and promotion of diplomacy and democracy in the sub-region. The federal government of Nigeria is set to begin disbursement of single-digit interest loans to all MSMEs across the country. Benny Adams reports that the new scheme, which is complementary to the ongoing conditional cash transfer, is in partnership with state governments and begins next year. This was revealed at a stakeholders engagement meeting with small business holders in Abuja.
Mission is to help. Meet Isaac Chima, a young entrepreneur from Abuja who owns a small but thriving ICT-based business center. He has been struggling to grow his business due to limited funds, but his luck changed when he heard about the presidential conditional grant and loan scheme.
Within 2 months, so I saw the alert came in, and I jumped up.
So how is that helping your business?
Yeah, my business is growing. My business is growing because more of my clients that do come, when I was having issue of printer, sometimes I do go out to print for them, but now I think I can print in my office.
This initiative, launched by the federal government, aims to empower more than 1 million small businesses across Nigeria with 50,000 grant per eligible beneficiary. But that's not all. The federal government has also established 2 other funds, the FGN MSMEs Intervention Fund and the FGN Manufacturing Sector Fund, totaling 200 billion naira to support businesses across Nigeria. These funds are expected to provide financial support to macro, small and medium enterprises and the manufacturing companies.
As of today, we have 39.2 billion, which has been disbursed to 784,394 beneficiaries across the 774 local government areas and the FCT.
More cheering is the news of a new scheme to start third quarter of next year in partnership with state governments.
Watch out, we're in partnership with the Bank of Industry and some of the commercial banks to ensure that this is done. So you can be in Zamfara, you can be in Sokoto, any state you are in, want you to access a single digit facility. That is what you need for your business.
With the grant and cheaper loans available, Chima and millions of other small business holders are expected to expand their businesses, hire more staff, and increase production. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
With that report, we conclude the news. On behalf of Ruth Ozama, who's been on sign language, this is Nancy Godiangunihu thanking you for watching.
Hours a day. NTA International is with you. In your living room, office, and everywhere, anywhere. We provide a company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, Go TV channel.
And to watch NTA International in the USA, Canada, and Mexico, use the following satellite parameters.
You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.